So Kamala Harris is running for president in 2020, and the media seems to have, they're trying to make her seem like she's all the rage. It's some pretty fun social engineering, and I don't think it's working out very well because I cannot get enough of her interviews. They just keep talking to her, and personally, I'm a fan because it's hilarious. And yeah, I know that my audio is just atrocious. It sounds horrible, but at least it isn't as bad as Kamala Harris trying to answer questions, or the answers to her questions for that matter. So I'm taking solace in that, at least. The CNN interview that she did recently, it's kind of, listening to interviews with Kamala Harris, or the way she answers questions, in my opinion, is kind of like, the typical American reaction, especially freshly when it first happened, when people watched the planes fly into the Twin Towers on 9/11. Listening to her, each syllable is like a 9/11 on my will to live. Basically, she's like a terrorist on my desire to be alive. And I pretty much feel that way about any Democrat in general. I hate the Democratic Party, and I hate the Republican Party. What I mean is, I hate the singular party. That's not what I'm here to try and talk about. That is just too much to talk about anyways. So, whatever. Here's this interview that Kamala Harris did with John King from CNN. And, look, she can speak for herself. Oh, wait, okay, I'm sorry. When you listen to it, I guess it's not fair to say that she can speak for herself. I mean, like, she is speaking, but, like, what the fuck is she saying? Anyways, here you go.
Trump blew up the blue wall. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. This state has been right in the last 4 and 8 out of the last 10 presidential elections. 31 counties that voted twice for Barack Obama in this state alone switched and voted for Donald Trump. How and why did that happen?
I'll leave that to the pundits, but I'll tell you
Can I stop you there for 1 second?
Okay, this is fantastic. So she says she'll just leave it to the pundits. Okay, this guy is from CNN. I guess you could call him a pundit. I mean, he's interviewing her right now instead of giving commentary. But they've been talking about this for 2 years and purposefully avoiding actual analysis, because actually digging into why Trump won would require analysis of the actual political system at its roots and what the issues are. And that would be a threat to the hegemony of the elite ruling capitalist class. Because then you would have to look at why Clinton was so unlikable and all these other things that we are already very acutely aware of, I think. CNN and corporate media likes to continue asking this question. But if they wanted to know the answer, they could just bring on Chris Hedges, because he talked about this in Death of the Liberal Class and talked to Noam Chomsky before even the Tea Party was elected during Obama's administration. And they predicted that the Tea Party, something like that, would rise and that a demagogue would be elected as a result. And this was 10 years ago or so. I mean, they predicted that because they're actually analyzing things and looking at these things in a more comprehensive way instead of on a superficial level. Because they're not taking money from, defense contractors and therefore obfuscating about all these various obvious issues. So she just says she'll leave it to the pundits. Now, I don't know how she would imagine this answer would inspire confidence in her ability to be a leader if she can't even figure out these basic things. The thing is she knows why, but she has to give some kind of bullshit answer like this, because for her to actually say something about how money influences political candidates and policy, she just has to skip over it, because she can't actually say something like that because she wants to take in that donor money. You know what I mean? Of course you know what I mean. And nothing I'm saying here is original. This is something that people have been saying for a very long time. But the fact that CNN, this guy, John King, cuts her off, CNN doesn't push back on anybody. I mean, the fact that he cuts her off and is even like, this answer is inadequate by my standards. Wow. This is a low bar. So this is fantastic. And she just keeps going. Anyway, let me start this over.
Trump blew up the blue wall. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. This state has been right in the last 4 and 8 out of the last 10 presidential elections. 31 counties that voted twice for Barack Obama in this state alone switched and voted for Donald Trump. How and why did that happen?
I'll leave that to the pundits, but I'll tell you
Can
that.
I stop you there for 1 second? If I'm a Democratic voter and I want Trump gone, I want a better answer than that. In the sense that, don't you have to know why it happened to know how to fix it?
Well, no question. But not only why it happened, I think that the bigger question is, what do the American people want from their leader?
Okay, so she says, yes, there's no question that we should try and answer or be able to answer what went wrong or how to fix it. No question, she says. But the bigger question is what people want from their leader. Okay, cool, sure, but you said there's no question that we should look at that and be able to answer that. And she doesn't. She just skips it. She's like, that's a good point. Yep, don't know the answer, so let's just roll on past that by me saying that this is a bigger question, so I don't have to answer the other one that I've deemed to be a smaller question. This is amazing. These are such basic fundamental questions that it doesn't seem like she has any kind of answer for. She's not even really lying and trying to create anything substantive by lying. That's what everyone else does. She could at least lie or try and assert something, but she's like, well, fuck, I mean, sure, we should answer that. I'm not sure what the answer is. So here's another question that I'll pose and then waffle around. This is amazing. I'm a fan, personally.
That's the question that I ask. And when I sit down with folks in their living rooms, in a coffee shop, in a town hall, what they're talking about is the need to be able to work hard and be able to pay the bills at the end of the month.
But those were pretty big wows. I mean, do you get this? Do you think that President Obama just failed them? They got the sense that they didn't deliver enough change? Was Hillary Clinton just a bad candidate? Was Donald Trump just
John,
great?
I think it's a mistake to assume that people are one issue or that they're a monolith.
People are not a monolith. That is a hot take from Kamala Harris. Wow. If she hadn't have said that, I don't know. It seems like some really cutting edge insight. I really think that the people on her campaign are really working overtime to try and figure out what all the issues are, it sounds like.
There are people who voted for each of the candidates based on a variety of issues. But I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing in 2019 leading up to 2020. I'm hearing people in the state of Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina, wherever you want to pick, name the state, Wisconsin, Michigan, I've been to those places too. What they want to know is that people who want to be the leaders of this country are actually seeing them and thinking about the issues that keep them up at night. This
is awesome. Okay, so she's just naming states now as she's trying to think of an answer. And she's naming states that people tend to ignore, like the Midwest, like Iowa. Well, New Hampshire's not in the Midwest, but, the flyover states. She says, I've been listening to these people in all these states and they want people to know the problems that keep them up at night. I can't fucking tell you what they are. I sat down with them at coffee shops. They wanted me to know their problems. I don't have any clue what they are, but they want their leader to know. Like, she doesn't even name any of the things that they have said to her. Like, this is hilarious.
That's what they want. And whoever has the best plan for that, and I think speaks most truth about the reality of American life today, and speaks truth and with an honest heart and purpose about what can be the vision for our country, I think that's the person who the voters are going to support.
And that is actually the end of the interview. Dude, this is amazing. So she has no answers. And I love listening to, I don't love listening to her. It's like listening to somebody with a head injury. And it's like, oh, like someone should help you. Anyway, so when she says the more important question is what people want from their leader. And then she lists these things. She doesn't even say at the end, and this is me. I can do this. This describes me, and that's why I'm running, because I can do these things, and I plan to deliver these things for the American people by listening and knowing that they're not a monolith and figuring out what their problems are. She doesn't even say, and that's me. Dude, that is what I am gonna do. She's just like, well, whoever the fuck can do this. That's what people are after. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like any insight on this that's, super hot take, like, oh man, nothing like that. But oh man, this is really funny. So personally, I really like listening to her because she doesn't sound like she has a goddamn idea of what to say or do. And of course, like, her campaign commercial was a bunch of platitudes and everything, which anyone who watched it recognized, of course. And she's not even, these weren't even like really platitudes. This was just like, I don't know. This is fantastic. You just know that someone is like, she's like flailing to answer super basic questions from someone from CNN. I mean, CNN doesn't really give pushback or probe or ask anything that isn't, a very surface level, superficial type question in general, usually. And she is flailing to answer the most basic. She's not even flailing. She's like full out seizing, like convulsing. It's just, oh man, somebody should help her out. Well, I mean, the donors are trying to help her out, but wow, someone should tell her what to say because she doesn't seem to have a fucking clue.